Hello there, my sleepy fellows. Tonight, I invite you to join me on a tale of mystery and quiet courage, a journey into the shadowed corners of Middle-earth. Our journey will take us deep into the lands of Middle-earth, where Gandalf the Grey, a wizard wise and powerful, sets forth on a path that will lead to Dol Guldur, the dark fortress shrouded in mystery. The world beyond the quiet hills and forests holds secrets long forgotten, whispers of a shadow gathering strength once more. Let yourself settle into the calm rhythm of this tale. Take a deep breath, feel the weight of your day begin to fade, and allow yourself to be drawn into this soothing journey. Gandalf's path is not one of sudden action or sharp turns, but one of steady steps, quiet reflection, and an unwavering resolve to uncover the truth. Together, we will walk beside him through peaceful woods and misty valleys and into the veiled secrets of Dol Guldur. As we prepare to journey further into the story, I'd like to share a glimpse of what lies ahead. This is not a tale of grand battles or swift action, but of quiet determination and a search for truth. Tonight, we will accompany Gandalf the Grey, whose wisdom and courage illuminate even the darkest paths. He sets forth from the familiar comfort of Rivendell, guided by whispers of a growing shadow in the east. The forest paths will lead us into places where the air feels thick with secrets and where ancient ruins tell stories of a world once vibrant, now veiled in mystery. Through Gandalf's calm resolve, we will witness how even the faintest glimmer of light can stand firm against encroaching darkness. If you're enjoying this peaceful journey and would like to hear more tales of Middle-earth, consider liking this video or subscribing to join me on future adventures. Each story is crafted to carry you into the heart of this mythical world, inviting you to relax and dream. Beneath the soft golden canopy of Rivendell's towering trees, Gandalf the Grey sat quietly in a sun-dappled glade. His sharp, thoughtful eyes, framed by a mane of silver-gray hair, scanned an ancient map spread across the smooth surface of a stone table. His weathered hands traced the faint outlines of forgotten trails and ancient ruins, paths shrouded in mystery. The faint hum of a distant waterfall and the melodic chirping of birds created a tranquil melody, a backdrop to the wizard's contemplations. Gandalf was a figure of quiet strength and profound wisdom. Draped in his familiar gray robes, he exuded a sense of calm authority. A faint smile often played on his lips, though his piercing gaze hinted at the weight of countless ages and unspoken knowledge. His staff, carved with intricate runes, rested beside him, a trusted companion on his journeys through the lands of Middle-earth. In the peaceful stillness of Rivendell, whispers of unease reached the wizard's ears. Scouts returning from the east spoke of strange shadows creeping through Mirkwood, of unnatural silences where once birds sang. And most troubling of all were the rumors surrounding Dol Guldur, the abandoned fortress cloaked in dread, where it was said an ancient evil might once again be stirring. The world around him seemed so serene, Rivendell's cascading waterfalls sparkling in the sunlight, the air filled with the scent of blooming wildflowers. Yet Gandalf's heart carried the quiet urgency of his purpose. If these whispers were true, they threatened the fragile balance of Middle-earth, and it was his duty to investigate. He gathered his belongings, a satchel filled with maps and scrolls, his sturdy staff, and a small pouch of pipeweed, a humble comfort on long, uncertain journeys. As he walked along the mossy path leading from Rivendell, he cast a lingering glance at its graceful arches and glowing lanterns. A place of peace and wisdom, Rivendell had always felt like a refuge, but now Gandalf knew his path would take him far from its gentle embrace. The road ahead was veiled in mystery. Dol Guldur, once a stronghold of darkness, lay hidden deep within the tangled expanse of Mirkwood. The fortress was said to harbor ancient secrets, its very stones resonating with whispers of the past. It was not the first time Gandalf had ventured into danger, nor would it be the last. With quiet determination, he set out, his steps firm but unhurried, his heart braced for what lay ahead. The landscape of Middle-earth unfolded around him as he traveled, rolling hills dotted with wildflowers, quiet streams murmuring beneath ancient bridges, and forest paths where the trees seemed to lean closer, their branches whispering secrets to those who would listen. As he journeyed, Gandalf pondered the stories that had reached his ears, their fragments piecing together an unsettling picture. What would he find in Dol Guldur? A shadow of the past, or a growing threat that must be confronted before it could spread? The answer lay somewhere in the darkness, waiting for the light of truth to reveal it. And so, with a steady heart and a clear purpose, Gandalf continued, the road stretching endlessly before him. Gandalf's journey began under the watchful gaze of a rising sun, its golden light stretching across the valley of Rivendell. The world around him was alive with a gentle symphony, the rustle of leaves in the wind, the distant cry of a bird soaring high above the hills, and the soft trickling of streams winding their way through ancient paths. Yet, as serene as his surroundings seemed, the wizard's thoughts were steeped in a quiet urgency. His path led him through the lands of Eriador, a region both familiar and ever-changing. The rolling hills were dotted with clusters of wildflowers swaying in the breeze, their colors vibrant against the lush greenery. Here, Gandalf paused briefly to draw from his pipe, the fragrant smoke curling upwards in intricate patterns. It was a rare moment of stillness amidst the long road ahead, one that offered him time to reflect on the weight of his task. As he ventured further east, the landscape began to shift. The warmth of the Shire's rolling fields gave way to the dense, brooding atmosphere of the outer reaches of Mirkwood. The forest loomed before him like a silent guardian, its towering trees stretching skyward and their branches intertwining to form a canopy that filtered the sunlight into golden streams. It was here, beneath this ancient cover, that Gandalf first felt the subtle pull of the forest's mysteries. The forest was alive, not with the cheerful songs of birds or the rustle of playful creatures, but with something deeper, older, a presence that seemed to watch from the shadows. The air was thick with the scent of damp earth and moss, and the occasional snap of a twig echoed like a whisper in the stillness. As Gandalf made his way through the labyrinth of roots and fallen leaves, he noticed signs of a disturbance. Trees stood twisted, their bark scorched as though touched by fire. Patches of land lay barren, the grass blackened and withered. Each step took him closer to the heart of the forest, where the air grew heavier, almost tangible in its weight. He came upon a small clearing where the remains of a camp lay abandoned. Tattered cloaks, broken arrows, and a charred ring of stones told the story of travelers who had passed this way, though their fate remained a mystery. Gandalf knelt by the fire pit, his fingers brushing the ash. It was cold, long abandoned, yet the faint scent of sulfur lingered, a sign that unnatural forces had been at play. As he pressed onward, Gandalf encountered more signs of the forest's transformation. The path he followed seemed to shift beneath his feet, as though the forest itself sought to mislead him. In the distance, faint, ghostly lights flickered between the trees, leading him deeper into the heart of Mirkwood. The lights seemed almost sentient, their movement erratic yet purposeful, guiding him to something unseen. It was near dusk when Gandalf reached a massive, gnarled oak that stood apart from the others, its roots forming a natural archway. Beyond it lay a hidden path, one that seemed untouched by time. The ground beneath his feet became smoother, the air cooler. The forest here whispered in tones both soothing and ominous, as though it recognized the wizard and his purpose. The journey was a test of resolve, each step unraveling more of the forest's secrets while hinting at the greater mystery of Dol Guldur. Gandalf's thoughts lingered on the whispers he had heard in Rivendell, rumors of a shadow rising once more, of a darkness that sought to consume the light. And as the trees around him grew denser, their branches twisting into near impenetrable walls, he knew that the answers lay ahead, waiting to be unveiled in the heart of this foreboding wilderness. The shadows grew deeper as Gandalf approached the outskirts of Dol Guldur, a place steeped in dread and mystery. The air here was unnaturally cold, biting through his cloak and stinging his face. The forest, which had whispered softly in Mirkwood's outer reaches, was now deathly silent. Every step he took seemed amplified, the crunch of leaves and the snap of twigs reverberating like warnings in the eerie quiet. Before him loomed the ruins of Dol Guldur, a sprawling fortress carved from jagged stone, its silhouette as sharp against the dim, murky sky. The structure was shrouded in a thick, swirling mist that seemed alive, shifting and writhing as though it sought to conceal the horrors within. Vines, darkened as if scorched by shadow, clung to the crumbling walls, their tendrils pulsing faintly with an ominous glow. As Gandalf approached the gates, he felt a weight pressing down on his chest, a palpable force of malice radiating from the fortress. He drew his staff close, its light piercing through the gloom, though it seemed diminished in the face of the darkness surrounding him. The wizard paused, steadying himself with a deep breath, and began to chant softly in a language ancient and powerful. The runes on his staff glowed brighter, pushing back the shadows and illuminating the path ahead. Inside the fortress, the air was heavy with the scent of decay and damp stone. The halls echoed with an unnatural stillness, broken only by the occasional drip of water or the faint scurrying of unseen creatures. Gandalf moved cautiously, his staff casting long, flickering shadows on the walls. He examined the carvings etched into the stone, symbols of dark power and ancient spells. Some he recognized from his studies, and others that filled him with unease. Deeper within the labyrinthine halls, Gandalf discovered a chamber. The room was vast and circular, its floor engraved with intricate patterns that pulsed faintly with a sickly green light. At its center stood a pedestal, upon which rested a dark orb, smooth as glass and emanating a faint, malevolent glow. The air around it shimmered, distorted as if reality itself struggled to contain the power within. Gandalf approached cautiously, his instincts warning him of the orb's dangerous allure. As he neared, a voice, cold and serpentine, slithered through the air, speaking in an ancient tongue. The words were indistinct, but heavy with malice, and Gandalf felt them claw at his resolve. He stood firm, raising his staff, and invoked the name of the Valor, his voice resonating with authority. The orb's glow flared, pulsing in defiance before dimming once more. It was then that Gandalf understood the true nature of the fortress and the shadow that had taken root here. This was not merely a stronghold of evil, it was the lair of a growing power, a harbinger of darkness that sought to extend its reach across Middle-earth. The whispers of the forest, the corrupted vines, the twisted paths, all had led him to this revelation. Yet the orb was but a fragment of the greater danger. Gandalf realized that Sauron, though diminished, was regaining strength. The fortress served as a nexus of his influence, a place where his malice gathered and spread like a blight. The wizard's heart grew heavy as he pondered the implications, yet he also felt a renewed sense of purpose. This discovery, though dire, was crucial. The Fellowship and all the free peoples of Middle-earth needed to know of this threat. As Gandalf approached the gates, he felt a weight pressing down on his chest, a palpable force of malice radiating from the fortress. He drew his staff close, its light piercing through the gloom, though it seemed diminished in the face of the darkness surrounding him. The wizard paused, steadying himself with a deep breath, and began to chant softly in a language ancient and powerful. The runes on his staff glowed brighter, pushing back the shadows and illuminating the path ahead. Inside the fortress, the air was heavy with the scent of decay and damp stone. The halls echoed with an unnatural stillness, broken only by the occasional drip of water or the faint scurrying of unseen creatures. Gandalf moved cautiously, his staff casting long, flickering shadows on the walls. He examined the carvings etched into the stone, symbols of dark power and ancient spells. Some he recognized from his studies, and others that filled him with unease. Deeper within the labyrinthine halls, Gandalf discovered a chamber. The room was vast and circular, its floor engraved with intricate patterns that pulsed faintly with a sickly green light. At its center stood a pedestal, upon which rested a dark orb, smooth as glass and emanating a faint, malevolent glow. The air around it shimmered, distorted as if reality itself struggled to contain the power within. Gandalf approached cautiously, his instincts warning him of the orb's dangerous allure. As he neared, a voice, cold and serpentine, slithered through the air, speaking in an ancient tongue. The words were indistinct, but heavy with malice, and Gandalf felt them claw at his resolve. He stood firm, raising his staff, and invoked the name of the Valor, his voice resonating with authority. The orb's glow flared, pulsing in defiance before dimming once more. It was then that Gandalf understood the true nature of the fortress and the shadow that had taken root here. This was not merely a stronghold of evil, it was the lair of a growing power, a harbinger of darkness that sought to extend its reach across Middle-earth. The whispers of the forest, the corrupted vines, the twisted paths, all had led him to this revelation. Yet the orb was but a fragment of the greater danger. Gandalf realized that Sauron, though diminished, was regaining strength. The fortress served as a nexus of his influence, a place where his malice gathered and spread like a blight. The wizard's heart grew heavy as he pondered the implications, yet he also felt a renewed sense of purpose. This discovery, though dire, was crucial. The Fellowship and all the free peoples of Middle-earth needed to know of this threat. Gandalf withdrew from the chamber, his thoughts racing as he retraced his steps through the fortress. The shadows seemed to press closer now, as if aware of his intent to leave. The air grew colder, the whispers louder, but the wizard remained resolute, his staff blazing brighter with each step. He would return to Rivendell and share what he had learned, for the battle against darkness had only just begun. The revelation was complete, but the journey was far from over. Gandalf knew the path ahead would demand every ounce of his wisdom and strength, for the Shadow of Dol Guldur was merely the beginning of a far greater threat. As Gandalf stepped out of the fortress, the dense mist of Dol Guldur seemed to claw at his cloak, reluctant to let him go. The air beyond the gates was no less oppressive, and the ancient trees of Mirkwood loomed tall and silent, their gnarled branches twisting like grasping fingers. The wizard took a steadying breath, his staff lighting the path ahead with a soft, steady glow. He had uncovered the dark secret hidden within Dol Guldur, but now he needed to carry the knowledge back to Rivendell. The forest grew darker as Gandalf ventured deeper, the narrow trail winding through thickets of thorny undergrowth and moss-covered roots. Each step seemed to echo with an unnatural stillness, but occasionally the faintest sounds reached his ears, whispers, distant and disembodied. They carried the weight of ancient sorrow, and Gandalf, though resolute, could feel the forest's eyes upon him. As he pressed onward, a soft rustling broke the silence, followed by a melodic chirping. Gandalf paused, his hand tightening on his staff, and soon a figure emerged from the shadows, a familiar face cloaked in earthy brown. Radagast the Brown, with twigs in his hair and a curious bird perched on his shoulder, greeted Gandalf with a relieved smile. "Gandalf," Radagast exclaimed, his voice warm yet tinged with concern. "I feared the forest might swallow you whole. What business takes you so close to Dol Guldur?" The two wizards shared a quiet exchange. Gandalf spoke of the orb and the growing darkness, his voice low but urgent. Radagast listened intently, nodding as he stroked the bird perched on his finger. "The forest has whispered of a growing shadow," Radagast said softly, his gaze shifting toward the fortress, but to hear it confirmed, this is troubling indeed. Radagast shared tales of the forest's folklore, of spirits that once roamed Mirkwood's heart, now twisted by Sauron's malevolence. He spoke of a time when the woods were vibrant and alive, their light untainted by shadow. Gandalf listened carefully, taking solace in Radagast's wisdom, though his resolve only deepened. As the two wizards parted ways, Gandalf's journey took him to the edge of a hidden glade. Moonlight filtered through the canopy, casting an ethereal glow on the forest floor. It was here that Gandalf encountered Thalendor, an elven ranger from the woodland realm, his bow slung across his back and his eyes sharp as a hawk's. Thalendor had been tracking the growing corruption, his keen senses attuned to the subtleties of the forest's changes. "You've come from Dol Guldur," Thalendor observed, his voice a blend of curiosity and caution. "I have," Gandalf replied, meeting the elf's gaze, "and I carry news that cannot wait." Thalendor agreed to guide Gandalf through the safest paths of Mirkwood, sharing tales of the ancient days when the forest was unmarred. He spoke of the Sylvan elves' struggle to keep the shadow at bay, and of the whispered legends that foretold a time of greater peril. The elves' stories, though somber, wove a tapestry of Middle-earth's resilience, offering Gandalf a sense of hope amid the encroaching darkness. As night fell, Gandalf and Thalendor made camp in a small clearing, the stars above glimmering faintly through the branches. The fire crackled softly, casting warm, flickering light against the forest's shadows. Thalendor shared more of his people's lore, singing a haunting melody in Elvish, his voice lilting like the wind through the leaves. Gandalf, in turn, shared his concerns about Sauron's return, his voice steady but grave. Together, they contemplated the days ahead, their conversation underscored by the quiet companionship that only a shared purpose could bring. The journey through Mirkwood, though fraught with danger, had become a testament to the strength found in unity. As Gandalf prepared to continue his path, he carried not only the weight of his discovery, but also the wisdom and stories shared by his allies. The shadows of Dol Guldur loomed large, but so too did the light of courage and hope, guiding his steps forward. The towering shadows of Dol Guldur loomed in Gandalf's mind as he emerged from the oppressive thickets of Mirkwood. The forest had clung to him like a living entity, but now, as he approached the heart of his journey, a weighty clarity settled over him. The pieces of the puzzle he had gathered, the signs of Sauron's return, the corruption spreading through the forest, and the whispers of the elves formed an undeniable truth. His task was no longer a solitary journey of discovery, it was a call to action. Gandalf's final approach to Dol Guldur was fraught with unease. The ruins of the fortress were eerily quiet, but the air seemed charged with a dark energy. As he stepped into the central hall, he felt the oppressive presence of evil, as though the very stones were steeped in malice. In the center of the chamber stood a shadowy orb upon a pedestal, an artifact pulsating with a faint, malevolent light. Gandalf's staff glowed brighter in response, as though repelling the darkness. He circled the orb cautiously, sensing its connection to Sauron's growing influence. This was no ordinary relic. It was a focal point of power, a means for the Dark Lord to extend his reach. As Gandalf reached out to examine the orb, a sudden burst of energy erupted, and the chamber was engulfed in flickering shadows. The air grew cold, and a sinister voice echoed through the hall, taunting him. "You meddle in the affairs of powers beyond your grasp, wizard," it hissed. Undeterred, Gandalf raised his staff, channeling his will into a beam of light that struck the orb. The room trembled as the dark energy recoiled, and for a moment, the shadows faltered. It was then that Gandalf saw the truth. Sauron's spirit, though not fully formed, was using Dol Guldur as a nexus of his resurgence. The shadows coalesced into a wraith-like form, and Gandalf found himself face to face with an extension of Sauron's malevolence. The specter lashed out with tendrils of dark energy, and Gandalf parried them with bursts of light from his staff. The chamber shook with the force of their clash, the very air humming with the conflict of opposing powers. Though the battle was intense, Gandalf's resolve never wavered. He chanted ancient incantations, drawing upon the wisdom of the Valar. Slowly, the specter's form began to waver, its strength diminishing under the unyielding light. With one final surge, Gandalf unleashed a blinding burst of energy that shattered the orb and dispelled the shadows. The silence that followed was profound, the chamber now bathed in the soft glow of Gandalf's staff. The orb lay in fragments, its dark influence dissipating into the air. Though the victory was hard won, Gandalf knew this was only the beginning of a greater struggle. As Gandalf exited the ruins of Dol Guldur, the first rays of dawn pierced through the forest canopy, casting golden light over the desolate landscape. The weight of his discovery pressed heavily upon him, but so too did the determination to act. He knew he must summon the White Council, share the perilous truth, and prepare Middle-earth for the battles to come. The seeds of Sauron's return had been planted, but Gandalf's intervention had delayed their bloom. Standing amidst the morning light, Gandalf turned his gaze northward, toward Rivendell. His journey had uncovered darkness, but it had also reaffirmed the strength of light and unity. With his staff in hand and his heart steadfast, he set forth on the path ahead, ready to rally the forces of Middle-earth against the shadow rising in the east. The journey to Dol Guldur had ended, but the tale of courage and hope was only beginning. The forest of Mirkwood was no longer cloaked in the same heavy silence as Gandalf left Dol Guldur behind. Though the echoes of Sauron's lingering presence would not easily fade, the light of Gandalf's staff had pierced the darkness, bringing hope to a shadowed land. The faint sound of birdsong and the soft rustling of leaves seemed like a gentle promise of renewal. Gandalf paused by a small, bubbling stream that cut through the forest. Kneeling beside the water, he dipped his hands into the cool current and let the moment wash over him. The battle within Dol Guldur had tested him to his very core, yet it had also reaffirmed his purpose. His mind drifted to the faces of friends and allies, to Elrond in Rivendell, Galadriel in Lothlorien, and even to the hobbits of the Shire, blissfully unaware of the storm that threatened their peaceful world. He retrieved a fragment of the shattered orb he had claimed as a token, a reminder of the darkness that sought to return, and of the light that must hold steadfast against it. With a sigh, he tucked it into his robes, knowing it would serve as a warning for the White Council when the time came to share what he had discovered. The path through Mirkwood grew easier as the sunlight broke through the canopy in warm, golden streams. Gandalf's staff glowed faintly, not out of necessity, but as a reassurance that the light was never truly absent, even in the darkest places. As he emerged from the dense forest, the sight of open hills and the distant peaks of the misty mountains greeted him. It was a welcome contrast to the gloom of Dol Guldur. Gandalf paused to take it all in, leaning on his staff as a soft breeze carried with it the scents of pine and earth. His journey to uncover the truth about Sauron's return was but one chapter in a greater story. He thought of the fellowship yet to be formed, of the alliances yet to be strengthened. The road ahead would not be easy, but it was a road worth traveling. Turning to the horizon, Gandalf smiled faintly. His heart carried both the burden of his knowledge and the quiet joy of knowing he had done what was needed. The sun began to set, painting the sky in hues of amber and rose. It was a fitting end to a long and arduous day. As he began his journey toward Rivendell, Gandalf's pace was steady and unhurried. The stars were beginning to appear, their light a guide in the growing twilight. His voice murmured softly, as though speaking to the night itself. "Even in the face of shadow, there is hope," he said, his words carried by the breeze. "For the smallest flame can hold back the darkness, and the quietest voice can change the course of fate." The story of Gandalf's journey to Dol Guldur would echo through the annals of Middle-earth, a testament to courage, wisdom, and the enduring light of hope. With the night settling in, Gandalf disappeared into the distance, his figure illuminated faintly by the glow of his staff. The tale was complete, and the world awaited the next chapter in its unfolding legend. As the stars shone brighter above, the forest returned to its quiet rhythm, and Middle-earth, for the moment, rested in peace.